Alright, this is Andrew with Jonah Home Inspections. We're doing a Super-Scope today here in Salt Lake. We're at 1067 South, 400 East. We have the camera pushed out 117 feet to the city connection. Now we're going to pull it back and record it and see what we find. We've got the camera pushed out 117 feet, which is a fairly average length of line. Average length that I see is around 100 feet. We're going to the roof stack here, so fairly common. Little bit of an offset here. So on the right hand side of the pipe you'll notice, and on the bottom, a little bit of a lip. That's a spot where waste could potentially get stuck, and if enough waste gets stuck, that can create a blockage. That was a pretty small one, but I wanted to point it out as an example and kind of an idea of what it is we're looking at. We're looking for. A little waste stuck in the line. Never good to see standing water or waste. Standing water would indicate bad grade. And so that's one of the main things I'll be watching for as we pull this back. This part looks good. Water's flowing. No standing water. I'm accessing this line through a clean out, or a roof stack, and so I'm up on the roof. This one's tough because they've mounted a satellite dish to your sewer stack, and so it makes it really hard to access that pipe. Racking my tempo on a bolt. I'm just glad we were able to get through that point. I didn't see anywhere else in the basement, so I'm glad that we were able to get the camera all the way out. This is clay pipe. little crack on the bottom there. Starting to go underwater, and right before we go underwater, there's, I can't tell if that's a break in the line. I wish my camera was a little bit higher. I had to take my skid off to be able to get the camera through. A lot of times I'll push the camera out on a skid, which is great because it elevates it, and then you can see above this water line. I had to take my skid off to be able to get through there, but that was definitely kind of a suspect part of the line. It looked like there was a crack on the bottom, but then it looked like there might have been a piece that was dislodged. But then we were immediately going underwater, and so I couldn't see that very well. And then you have standing water, and in either case, the standing water is a spot where grease can settle, and if enough grease builds up, you can start to get waste that gets stuck there, and if enough waste gets stuck, then it can back up towards the house. And so never ideal to have any sort of standing water, even when it's only for a few feet. The more standing water, the worse. The worse, rather. But I couldn't see there what was causing that standing water, whether it was a blockage or whether it was bad grade. Now, a blockage you can clean out, but bad grade or a broken line, you would have to dig up. I would definitely recommend the insurance on this line, and that would help offset the cost if it needs to be cleaned or a break needs to be dug up. Home serve is a common one. Some people have good luck with it, others don't. But it is a very common one, and it's not very expensive. This is looking good through here. Standing water, no roots. Offsets aren't too bad. Starting to go underwater here. I'm going to push it back out and see if there's a blockage. I don't see a blockage. I feel like it's just slowly going underwater, which is more indicative of bad grade. And at this point, we're going to be under the house, and so that's not a good spot to have bad grade, because if you had to dig up the line there, you have to open up the basement slab to get to it. Going through some cast iron, really pretty rough right there. Cast iron will eventually need to be replaced. You can clean it, and that would help make it smoother. But I've definitely already seen many houses of this age that have already had to be replaced. A lot of that scale is breaking off. This doesn't look good. I noticed in the basement around the floor drain there were stains that look like the sewer has backed up in the past, and now seeing this part of the line, that makes sense. I think it's not unlikely that there's been backups, or that there will be future backups based on how much waste is stuck in the line already. I would recommend getting the line cleaned, but the tough thing is that if you really wanted to get that cast iron smooth, you'd have to clean it pretty aggressively, and at that point, you might break the line. It's kind of a catch-22, because you want it smooth, you want it clean, but in doing so, you can damage the line. And so when you clean it, you want to be prepared for damage, where you might need to either dig it up or put in a liner. And with cast iron, I recommend Pacote, where they clean it with a chain, and that helps make it nice and smooth. But again, that can damage the line. I'm going to end this recording now.